Captain Aaron Foster heard the explosion before he felt it. The blast threw his patrol ship sideways through the dark sky of Prime. His hands gripped the controls as sparks rained down from the ceiling. The warning lights screamed red. Behind him, his crew scrambled for safety that would never come. The fighters came out of nowhere, 3 massive ships with weapons that cut through the defense shields like paper. Aaron tried to turn his small craft, but the engines were already failing. The ship groaned like a dying animal. He heard cry out as a wall panel exploded. Then silence. Then nothing but the hiss of broken systems. The impact came hard. Aaron's head snapped back against his seat. Stars filled his vision. When the spinning stopped, the ship was on its side, buried in rock and dirt. He hung from his safety harness, bleeding from a cut above his eye. The whole right side of his body burned with pain. His left leg was pinned under something heavy. He worked his way out slowly. Every movement sent waves of fire through his ribs. He was sure at least 3 were broken. Around him, the ship was dead. No lights, no sound, just the smell of burned metal and fuel. When Aaron finally pulled himself out of the wreckage, the sun was already falling. The twin moons of Prime were rising in the purple sky. He dragged himself toward the nearest cave, using pieces of his ship to help him move. He had maybe an hour before the temperature would drop enough to kill him. The caves went deeper than he expected. Aaron moved through them like a ghost, following the faint glow from his damaged wrist communicator. His fingers were numb. His vision kept getting fuzzy around the edges. He was losing blood fast. The wound on his leg where a piece of metal had torn through his uniform was the worst. He had wrapped it with his shirt, but it wasn't helping much. He found a chamber by accident. It was large and smooth, like someone had carved it by hand centuries ago. The walls shimmered with a faint blue light that came from nowhere and everywhere at once. It was beautiful and wrong at the same time. That was when he saw her. She lay on a stone platform in the center of the chamber, and even from a distance, Aaron knew she was not human. Her skin was pale like moonlight. Her hair was silver and black, spread across the stone like spilled ink. Her body was very still. Aaron walked closer, every step in agony. When he was near enough to see clearly, he could see the blood. It covered her right side, staining her black dress. Her blood was not red. It was silver, and it glowed faintly in the darkness. She was dying. Aaron did not know what she was. He did not know if she was a threat. All he knew was that he was looking at something alive and something in pain, and he could not turn away from that. He knelt beside her. Up close, he could see her face was beautiful in a way that was not quite human. Her features were sharper, her eyes larger. But her pain was the same as any living thing. It was written all over her face. Aaron tore open the side of her dress to look at the wound. It was bad. Something had cut deep into her side, and there was no way she had survived this long on her own. She must have crawled here, desperate for a safe place to die. He had very little blood left in his own body. He was running on nothing but shock and stubbornness. But he looked at this strange creature, this impossible woman, and he made a choice. Aaron took his knife and cut a deep line across his own wrist. The pain was sharp and clear. He held his arm over hers and let his blood fall onto her wound. It ran down her silver skin like red rain. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then her eyes snapped open. They were gold, bright gold, like someone had put the sun in her eyes. They looked at him without any human expression. They looked at him like he was something to eat. Aaron kept his arm where it was. He did not move. He could have been afraid, but there was no room for fear anymore. He was too tired, too hurt, too empty. Slowly, very slowly, her hand came up. Her fingers were cold and wrong, with nails that were too long and too sharp. She gripped his wrist and pulled his arm down toward her mouth. Aaron watched her drink. He felt the warmth leave his body. He felt himself getting lighter and lighter, like he was floating away. The edges of the world went dark. The pain faded. Everything faded. Her lips were against his wrist. Her eyes never left his face. The gold in them burned brighter and brighter. Then she gasped, a real sound, a living sound. Her body arched off the stone platform. Her eyes flashed like lightning. Her hand gripped his wrist so tight Aaron heard his own bones creak. When she opened her eyes again, the gold was still there, but there was something else now. Confusion, wonder, hunger. She sat up slowly, her hands still on his wrist. She looked down at his blood on her skin, at the wound in his wrist that was flowing steady and red. For a moment, she seemed to be making a choice. Then her voice came. It sounded like velvet poured over thunder. "What is your name, soldier? What is your name that you would bleed for a stranger?" Aaron looked at her pale face and her silver hair and her gold eyes that burned like suns. He was so tired, he was so empty, but he answered, "Aaron, my name is Aaron Foster, and I don't know why I did that." She smiled. It was not a kind smile. It was the smile of something that had tasted something new and wanted more. "I am of house, and now, Aaron Foster, you belong to me." Aaron woke up on soft fabric that felt like clouds. For a moment he forgot where he was. He forgot about the crash. He forgot about. Then the pain came back and he remembered everything. His leg was wrapped in bandages that glowed with a soft blue light. His ribs were bound tight. His wrist was covered with a medical seal that felt cool against his skin. The room around him was enormous. The walls were made of crystal that caught the light and threw it back in 100 colors. He was not in a cave anymore. Aaron tried to sit up, and immediately the door opened. A figure came in. It was tall and thin, with skin like porcelain and eyes that were completely black. The figure looked down at him with no expression. "You will remain still," the figure said. "Your injuries are severe. You are lucky to be alive." "Where am I?" Aaron asked. His voice was rough. His throat was dry. "The Palace of the Crown. You are in the healing chambers." Aaron closed his eyes. That made no sense. He had been in a cave, now he was in a palace. Something had changed. Everything had changed. The door opened again, this time entered. She wore a long dress made of dark fabric that seemed to drink the light. Her silver hair was pulled back from her face. She looked different in the light, still not human, but beautiful in a way that hurt to look at. When she saw Aaron was awake, her gold eyes brightened. "You live," she said. It was not a question. "Where is everyone else?" Aaron asked. "My crew, where are they?" Did not answer right away. She came closer and sat on the edge of his bed. Up close he could see that she was very young. Younger than him, maybe. It was hard to tell with a vampire. "Your crew is gone," she said finally. "The impact destroyed your ship. My hunters found no other survivors." Aaron turned his face away. He had known. Part of him had always known. But hearing it said like that, so simply, made it real in a way it had not been before. Reached out and touched his arm. Her fingers were warm now, not cold like before. "You saved my life. Do you understand what that means? In the law of my people, when a life is given in the moment of death, a bond is created. You are bound to me now." "I don't understand," Aaron said. "It is the ancient law," said. "You gave your blood to save me. This means you are my responsibility. More than that, it means you are mine." "I don't belong to anyone," Aaron said. "I'm a soldier of Earth. You can't just claim me." Smiled, "I already have. The council met this morning while you slept. I announced the blood bond. The law is clear. No one can challenge it." The door opened again. This time an older vampire came in. He was massive, with silver hair braided down his back and a scar that split his face in two. His eyes were black like the first vampire had been. "The princess speaks the truth," he said. His voice was like grinding stone. "I am High Lord Cassius. I lead the council. Your claim stands, princess. This human is bound to you by our laws." "Thank you, High Lord," said. Cassius looked at Aaron with an expression that was part disgust, part pity. "I do not understand why you value this creature. It is primitive. It is soft. The breed stronger slaves than this." "It is not your concern," said, and her voice went cold. "Aaron Foster is under my protection. That is all you need to know." Cassius bowed and left. Aaron listened to his footsteps fade away down the crystal hallway. "He hates me," Aaron said. "He hates that I am not what he expected," said. "Many on the council thought I would die. He was already preparing to support my cousin for the throne." "What?" Aaron looked at her. "Someone tried to kill you." "Yes," said simply. "My cousin, Lord Daniel, he put poison in my wine at the council dinner, but I did not drink all of it. I felt the poison in my blood and I ran. I went to the deep caves where I thought I could die in peace. I did not expect to find a human soldier there instead." Aaron tried to process this. "So you're saying I need to protect you from your own family?" "That is one way to say it," said. She was still holding his arm, her fingers tracing small patterns on his skin. "But there is more. When I drank your blood, I saw things, visions of your mind. I saw your memories. I saw you fighting to survive on a world that kills everything else. I saw you protecting your crew, even when you knew you could not save them. I saw something in you that we have lost in my people." "What?" Aaron asked. "The will to keep living, Not for power, not for politics, just to live, just to help others live. Aaron said nothing. He did not know what to say to that. Over the next weeks, things changed. Aaron got stronger. His wounds healed faster than they should have. The doctors said it was because of his exposure to blood. Something in his human biology worked with vampire medicine in ways they did not understand. As he got stronger, began to take him through the palace. She showed him the gardens of crystal and starlight. She showed him the war rooms where the council debated threats to the throne. She showed him the weapons stores. And she watched as Aaron looked at everything with the eyes of a soldier, seeing not beauty but defensive positions and weak points. "You think like a warrior," she said to him one night, as they stood on a balcony overlooking the capital city below. "I am a warrior," Aaron said. "It's all I know how to do." "Then teach my guards to think as you do," said. "Teach them to be something more than pretty decorations at a court." "Your family won't like that," Aaron said. "No," agreed. "They will not, but I am the one who makes the decisions now. And I have decided that if a human can save my life, then humans must know something worth learning." Aaron looked out at the crystal towers of the city. He had come to Prime to fight. He had crashed and lost everything. He had expected to die. Now he stood next to a vampire princess who had decided he was worth keeping. He still did not understand the rules of this place. He still did not know if he was prisoner or protector or something else entirely. But's hand found his in the darkness, and she held it tight. "I will not release you," she whispered. "Not now, not ever." Aaron did not pull away. The alarm came at midnight. It was a sound Aaron had heard once before, the day his ship crashed. It was the sound of weapons discharging in the upper atmosphere. It was the sound of a world being attacked. Aaron was in his quarters when it happened, had given him rooms near hers in the royal wing of the palace. He was already dressed and armed when the doors burst open. A guard came running in, his face pale with fear. Though the guard gasped, "They are attacking, the city is burning." Aaron did not waste time asking questions. He ran toward the war room, knowing that was where would be. The palace was chaos. Servants ran in every direction. Guards rushed to defensive positions. The crystal walls that Aaron had found so beautiful suddenly looked fragile and thin. He found her standing in the center of the war room, surrounded by the council. Holographic displays showed the sky above the city. Dozens of ships were dropping from orbit, their weapons cutting through the city like knives. The outer shields were already failing. "We must evacuate," High Lord Cassius was saying. "The princess must be moved to the underground bunker. We can preserve the bloodline." "How many people are in the city?" asked. 3 million, an older vampire answered. "But we cannot save them all. We must think of survival." Aaron stepped forward. All the eyes in the room turned to him. "You have been training with our guards," Cassius said coldly. "This is not a place for you." "They are not targeting random positions," Aaron said. He pointed at the holographic display. "Look at their pattern. They are not attacking military targets. They are not attacking infrastructure. They are attacking government buildings. They are trying to hit this palace." Moved closer to the display. "He is right. They know where we are." "We have shields," another council member said. "The shields have held for 1,000 years." "Your shields are designed to stop orbital weapons," Aaron said. "But the learned from fighting my people. They learn fast. They adapt. Those shields will not hold much longer." "Then what do you propose?" Cassius asked, his voice dripping with contempt. "That we surrender to the creatures below." "No," Aaron said. He pointed to the underground systems shown on the display. "What are those tunnels?" A younger vampire stepped forward. "The old cave systems. They run beneath the city, but no one has used them in centuries. They are not safe." "They bypass the positions," Aaron said. "And they bypass your shield systems, which means the do not know about them, which means we can reach their command ship from below while they are focused on the shields above." "You are insane," Cassius said. "It is a suicide mission." "Probably," Aaron agreed. "But right now, your shields are holding because they do not know that you are here. Once they crack through, you have minutes before they overrun this entire palace. I have fought I know how they think. I can get to their command ship. I can disable it, and if I can do that, your automated defenses will finish the job." "It cannot be done," Cassius said. "It can," Aaron said. "But I will need volunteers. I will need the best fighters you have, and I will need you to give me 1 hour before you evacuate." Stepped forward. I will allow it. You cannot, Cassius said. The law forbids the princess from putting herself in danger. I am not putting myself in danger, said. I am putting Aaron in danger, and I trust his judgment. Prepare your soldiers, Aaron. You have your hour. Aaron moved quickly. He had less than 60 minutes. He selected 15 of the best guards, warriors who had been training with him for weeks. He taught them the basics of human infiltration tactics. Stay low, move fast, use cover, never attack head-on. The vampires were used to fighting in the open, to using their superior speed and strength. They had to learn to hide. They had to learn to think like prey that was learning to hunt. At 58 minutes, they were ready. Aaron took a long look at before they left. She was standing in the war room, watching the holographic display show the ships tearing through her city. Her face was calm, but her gold eyes were bright with worry. I will come back, Aaron said. You must, said. She came forward and took his hand. Her fingers were cold again now, colder than they had been. If you do not return, I will go into the tunnels myself and drag you back by force. Aaron smiled despite the fear that was crawling up his spine. That sounds like a threat. It is a promise, said. Now go and survive Aaron Foster. I did not keep you alive just to throw you away. The tunnels beneath the capital were older than anything Aaron had ever seen. The stone walls were covered in carvings that meant nothing to him. The air was cold and still. The darkness was absolute except for the lights they carried. They moved down and down, following the path that the holographic display had shown. Behind them, above them, Aaron could hear the sound of explosion after explosion as the ships bombarded the palace. The ground shook. Stone fell from the ceiling. But they kept moving forward. The command ship was exactly where Aaron thought it would be. They had landed it in the caverns on the far side of the city, using the dense rock for cover. The ship was massive, a dark shape against the darker stone. Aaron held up his hand and his warriors stopped. He looked at their faces in the darkness. They were afraid. He was afraid too, but they were ready. This is where we fight, he said. This is where we make the difference. Let us go. They moved forward into the darkness and toward the waiting ships of their enemy. The command ship was uglier up close. It was all sharp angles and exposed power conduits, designed for function with no concern for beauty. The entrance hatch was guarded by 2 soldiers. They were massive creatures, almost 10 feet tall, with skin that looked like burned metal and eyes that glowed red like dying coals. Aaron had trained for this. Not for this exact moment, but for moments like it, when everything came down to speed and surprise and the willingness to do what needed to be done. He signaled his team. 5 vampires split off to the left, 5 to the right. Aaron and 4 others moved straight forward. The first guard saw them coming. Its weapon came up fast. Aaron was faster. He rolled beneath the first shot and came up beside the creature, his blade already moving. His strike was precise and designed to kill, not wound. The fell. The second guard was screaming into its communicator when his teammates hit it. The vampires moved with perfect coordination now, using the tactics Aaron had taught them. They did not try to match the strength. Instead, they used speed and precision, hitting vital points and moving away before the creature could retaliate. It was not elegant, it was not beautiful, it was brutal and efficient, and it worked. They had 3 minutes inside the command ship before the alarms started screaming. The interior was a maze of corridors and passages. Aaron knew he had perhaps 5 minutes before they could muster a real defense. He moved through the ship like he had designed it himself, following the heat signatures shown on a sensor he had found on the first guard's body. The command center was deep. It was always deep. Behind him, 2 of his vampires were hit by laser fire. One went down screaming. The other dragged the wounded one into a side corridor. Aaron did not stop. He could not stop. If he stopped, everything died. The command center had 6 inside. They were reaching for weapons when Aaron came through the door. He did not hesitate. He moved like death itself, like something that had come from the heart of a star to burn everything in his path. His blade sang through the air. His hands were steady. One of his warriors fell beside him, a massive wound across his chest. Aaron caught him as he fell. Go, the vampire said, his silver blood spraying across the console. Complete the mission. It is all that matters. Aaron moved toward the central computer. Around him, the remaining vampires formed a wall of bodies between him and the doorway. The outside were throwing everything they had at the barrier. It was not going to hold much longer. He found the reactor control systems. They were not hard to understand. All power plants work the same way. You put in energy, you get out-controlled explosion. If you remove the control, you get an uncontrolled explosion. Aaron began typing commands with fingers that did not shake. The warnings came up immediately. The reactor temperature was rising. The containment fields were destabilizing. The entire ship was going to cook itself alive from the inside out. "Now," he screamed. The vampires fell back. They had trained for this moment too. They moved fast, faster than anything born of flesh should move. Behind them, the command center erupted in flame. The explosion was small here, just the first of many. The real explosion would come when they reached the surface. They ran. Aaron's legs burned. His lungs burned. His whole body was screaming. He had been wounded fighting in the command center. He had taken a laser across his ribs, and he was bleeding bright red onto the metal floor. But he kept moving. Behind him, the ship was dying. The reactor was overloading. The power systems were failing. The engines that had once been so powerful were stuttering and failing. The whole ship was becoming a bomb with him inside it. 3 corridors to the exit, 2, 1. An explosion threw Aaron forward. He crashed into the ground hard enough to crack his ribs further. For a moment, the pain was so intense that he could not move. He could not breathe. He could not do anything but lie there and feel himself dying. Then a vampire hand grabbed his collar and hauled him to his feet. It was one of the younger warriors, a fighter named. His entire left side was burned from laser fire, but he was still moving. "We go," said. They stumbled forward together. The exit was right there, only meters away. Aaron could see the starlight and the stone of the cavern beyond. Then the door sealed. The ship shuddered. The entire vessel shifted, beginning to descend toward the ground. The reactor was failing faster now. They had maybe 2 minutes before the whole thing came apart. Aaron looked at the sealed door and knew that this was the end. He had come here to stop he had done that. Now he was going to die here too, buried in the wreckage of a ship that would take him down into stone and darkness forever. Then the door exploded outward. Stood on the other side, smoke and dust rising around her. She had torn the door open with her bare hands. Her dress was torn. Her silver hair was burned black on one side. Blood covered her from a deep wound in her shoulder. She looked like something from a nightmare. She looked beautiful. "Come," she screamed. Aaron did not think. He did not question. He ran toward her, dragging with him. The ship collapsed behind them as they reached the opening. They fell through into open air, tumbling down a slope of stone, the vessel crashing down behind them. When they came to rest at the bottom of the slope, Aaron could not move. He could only lie there and breathe and feel the ground shake beneath him as the command ship hit bottom and exploded in a massive ball of fire. Was there, pulling him close, her silver blood mixing with his red on the stone beneath them. Around them, the surviving vampires lay scattered, wounded and exhausted. Of the 16 warriors who had entered the tunnels, only 4 were still alive. But above them, as the dust cleared, Aaron could see the first thing they had been fighting for. The bombardment had stopped. The fleet, without its command ship's coordination, was falling apart. The automated defenses of Prime, given breathing room, were taking control of the sky. The ships that had been so terrifying were beginning to burn. Aaron had done it. He had saved this city. He had saved. And he was dying. He could feel it. The radiation from the reactor had burned him from the inside. The wounds were too many and too deep. His human body, tough as it was, had finally reached its limit. Everything was going dark. Was holding him, pressing her mouth to his neck. She was doing what vampires did. She was taking his blood. But this time it was not a gift. This time it was an act of desperation. "Stay with me," she was crying. "Stay with me, Aaron Foster. Please stay with me." Aaron tried to speak. He had no words left. He had given everything he had. There was nothing left to give. Or maybe there was just one more thing. He took her hand in his and pressed it against his chest, over his heart. "Stay with you," he managed to say. "Always." Then everything went black. Aaron woke to the sound of his voice. At first, he thought he was dead. The voice sounded like it was coming from very far away, like she was calling to him from across a great distance. He tried to move, but his body would not respond. He tried to speak, but his throat was empty. Slowly, the world came back. First sensation. His skin felt like it was on fire. Every nerve in his body was screaming. Then sound, the steady hum of medical equipment, people moving in quiet voices, then sight, soft blue light that was easy on his eyes, a ceiling made of crystal. He was in the healing chambers again. Was sitting beside his bed. She had changed her dress but not the evidence of the battle. One side of her face was wrapped in bandages. Her left arm was in a sling, but her gold eyes opened when she saw that he was awake and they burned bright. "You woke," she said simply. "How long?" Aaron asked. His voice was rough and broken. "3 days. The doctors did not think you would make it through the first night. I did not believe them. I knew you would fight. You always fight." Though Aaron asked. "Defeated, routed, the fleet is scattered. Some ships escaped, but they will not be returning soon. They did not expect a ground assault. They did not expect anything like what you showed us." Aaron tried to sit up. Pain lanced through his entire body, but he managed it. Helped him, her hands gentle as she adjusted his pillows. "The vampires I brought?" he asked. His expression changed. She looked away. 4 died in the tunnels. 4 more died in the healing chambers from radiation poisoning. Only survived besides you. The doctors say his wounds will heal, but it will take time. "I sent them to die," Aaron said. "You sent them to save their people," corrected. "They knew the risk. They went willingly. That is honor." Aaron looked at her for a long moment. He could see the exhaustion on her face. He could see the way her hands shook slightly when she thought he was not looking. "You went into the caverns," he said. It was not a question. "I went to get you," said. "When they told me the reactor was overloading, I felt it through our blood bond. I felt you dying, and I could not allow that." "I was already going to die anyway," Aaron said. "Then we would have died together," said simply. "That was my choice." The healing chambers had windows made of crystal that looked out over the city. Aaron could see the damage from where he lay. Whole sections of the capital were ruined. Buildings had collapsed. Streets were cratered by impact craters. But around those ruins, he could see people moving, rebuilding, living, survivors working to make something out of what remained. Over the next week, Aaron grew stronger. The radiation poisoning was still in his body, but his human genetics, tempered by Earth's harsh environment, was fighting it off in ways that surprised even the vampire doctors. His wounds healed faster than they should have. His strength returned, though it was a shadow of what it had been. Came every day. Sometimes she brought reports from the council. Sometimes she simply sat with him. As the days passed, Aaron realized that she was worried. She kept looking toward the door like she was expecting someone. Finally, on the 7th day, she told him. "The council is demanding that I release you," she said. "They say that the blood bond has served its purpose. They say that keeping a human in the palace is beneath the dignity of the royal house." Aaron did not say anything for a moment. He knew this would come. He had always known it. A vampire princess could protect a human soldier for a time, but not forever. The pressure from her own people would eventually become too much. "I understand," he said. "When do I leave?" "You don't," said. The words came out hard like she had to force them out. "I have called a full council session. I will make my position clear." She left before he could ask what that meant. The council session took place in the great hall of the palace. Aaron was brought there by guards, though he was not sure if they were protecting him or keeping him prisoner. The hall was massive, with walls of dark stone and pillars that reached up into shadow. The council members sat in a semicircle, looking down at Aaron like he was something being examined under glass. Entered from a side door. She wore formal robes of black and silver and the crown of the sat on her head. She looked like power itself. She walked down to where Aaron stood and stopped in front of him. "Aaron Foster gave his blood to save my life," she said, her voice carrying through the great hall. "He did this when I was a stranger to him, when he could have walked past and let me die. He chose to live by his heart instead of his reason." High Lord Cassius stood. "The law of the blood bond is ancient, but it does not require eternal service. The debt can be paid." "The debt is not paid," said, "because I chose to go deeper. When my people were dying, Aaron Foster went into tunnels to face an enemy that should have been able to crush him easily. He did this for people he had known for mere weeks. He did this because he understood something that we have forgotten." Reached out and took Aaron's hand. She raised it so that the entire council could see. He understood that power without purpose is empty, that immortality without meaning is just a long, slow death, that the strongest thing a person can do is choose someone else's life over their own. This is sentiment, another council member said. This is not law. No, said, this is the opposite of sentiment. This is clarity. She pulled Aaron forward until he was standing beside her throne. I am announcing today that Aaron Foster is no longer bound to me by the ancient law of blood. He is bound to me by his choice and by mine. I am offering him a place in the royal house, not as a servant, not as a prisoner, as an equal. The council erupted in argument. Aaron heard words like impossible and unprecedented and against tradition, but raised her hand and they fell silent. This is my decision as the ruler of Prime, she said. If the council wishes to challenge it, they are welcome to try. No one moved, no one spoke. Cassius slowly bowed his head. We accept the decision of the princess. One by one, the other council members bowed. That night, Aaron stood on the balcony where he had stood before, looking out at the city. The damage was still visible in the darkness, but slowly, lights were coming back on. The city was healing. Joined him, she did not say anything. She simply took his hand and held it. Why did you do that? Aaron asked. You did not have to. You could have released me, let me go back to Earth, let you return to your normal life. Because, said slowly, when I drank your blood that first time, I saw your memories. I saw a soldier who had nothing, who had lost everything, but who still chose to bleed for a stranger. And I realized something that all my centuries of immortality had never shown me. What? Aaron asked. That strength is not about power. Real strength is about love. Real strength is about looking at someone and deciding that their life matters more than your own safety. That is what you showed me, Aaron Foster, and I will not let that go. I will not release you. Not now, not ever. Aaron turned and looked at her. In the moonlight, her silver hair seemed to glow. Her gold eyes were bright and clear. I came here to fight an enemy, he said. I did not expect to find a reason to stay. Stay, said. I am asking you, not as a command, not as a law, just as something I need. Aaron took her hand and held it tight. Around them, the city of Prime continued to heal. The threat was defeated. The threat from within had been faced and overcome. And on a balcony overlooking the capital, a human and a vampire stood together, bound not by ancient law, but by something far more powerful. They stood together, and neither one looked away. The strongest things in the universe, Aaron realized, were not the stars or the most powerful weapons. They were the simple moments when two people chose each other, when they looked at each other and said yes, when they held on and refused to let go. He had come to Prime expecting to die. Instead, he had found something worth living for. And he would never let it go.